With the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Report of any executive sessions.
There were none.
Public comment.
George Stankovich, Palo Alto. I just want to make a couple of comments. You know that what I've been preaching about for the senior citizens and the veterans, and I hope and pray. I was just informed that the preliminary estimates are going to come out for the property tax, so be ready, because these are just estimates, like I've been told, but just be ready, and I hope there's no shockers to anybody. But the seniors and the veterans, that's who I'm pulling for, because they are hurting, they're on set incomes. I know myself that I am on one, and I hope and pray that my taxes, along with the other ones, go down. I don't even want to stay where I'm at. I want to go down.
So staying even is not good enough.
No.
Well,
No.
George, your taxes are going up $54, I think, for the county. But if we do a homestead exclusion, your taxes will go down.
Okay.
Mine are going up. So when you let me know what day I can come over for dinner.
Okay.
Because for a year I've heard from you that if your taxes go up, you're going to move in with one of us and everything. So now mine are going up. What are we having for dinner?
Okay, and I'm telling you this, you wouldn't want to come and live with me, because the person with me will have a lot of other things to argue
Well, as long
about.
as she makes a good dinner,
Yeah,
that's all that
well,
matters.
you won't be saddling that dinner. But that Homestead Act, I'm not too sure. I know some things.
Well, I'll let Tim explain it when he comes up.
Okay.
About it. He can explain it. It's basically anybody that's enrolled for homestead with the school district would get a county homestead.
Oh.
If you're enrolled for homestead, and that's why we've been pushing everybody to enroll in Clean and Green. Make sure you're enrolled in homestead.
Okay.
Take advantage of everything you possibly can take advantage of. We've been pushing that narrative, because why wouldn't you try to get
Yeah, but what do they go by? What?
It's just gonna be a monetary thing. So if we pick $20,000, if your value of your house is 220, it brings your value down to 200,000.
Oh, okay.
It's just a monetary,
Okay.
it's not a percentage, it's nothing. It's just a monetary across the board.
Okay, well, that's.
But it's only on your primary residence.
Okay, see, that's what seniors and veterans have to hear.
That's why we're looking into it.
They must hear this. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Jeff, show your shoes in the picture.
On the
Come
live
on,
stream.
Ted,
On the live stream.
because you match, everything
I
matches.
can't walk up there, remember?
No, you're allowed.
That's outlawed now.
Just put the leg up.
Last time somebody was told to lift the leg in here, walk Jeff
Your sneakers match.
Jeff Dunkel, Palo Alto. No update on Lisa Stevens. I see Mike's not here, so we'll just table that again for another week. See, Teresa Gaffney's not here once again. She can be out campaigning all over the county for a magistrate candidate, but can't show up to work, and takes $96,000 annually out of a salary and benefits package and doesn't show up. Speaking of that, when I pulled in here this morning, 7 elected officials were not here when I pulled in. It seems to be habitual. Lots of wasted taxpayer dollars. If you're going to treat it as a part-time job, it should be paid as a part-time job. The 911 center, I believe they had Gary, you donated a meal last week or sent a meal down?
The meal went up there.
Yeah, okay. So that was nice. I heard they got some sort of TMU bag and a keychain or something for Respect and Telecommunicators Week. Other counties got a lot better, so they're still not being treated accordingly. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund that's on here with some appointments, what exactly is that?
Dave, go ahead.
The Affordable Housing Trust Fund is a board. It was established in 2000. It's an administrative board. There is one current seat open for that. There are 6 board members on there. What they do is review progress reports, financial reports for grantees. a small portion of every realty transfer goes into a pot of money. It's called the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Each year, that money is granted out for affordable housing efforts in the county. I'll have a full report to go over. I'll talk about some grantees and some of the stories from those projects. That board meets 3 times per year, March, June, and December. Grantees that go through that are required to submit updates 3 times per year as well. The contracts for those grants are usually one for 3 years. Sometimes there's extensions granted for some contracts.
Okay. And then just, I know you're pointing people to it. Like, does anybody fill out an application, a resume? Is there any vetting done on that?
It's on the recommendation of the director.
Okay.
So it actually is the board that makes the recommendations. So currently, no one has been identified. We're looking into one person that's qualified. We try to get the qualified people on there. Ken Huebner's been on, I think, since the inception of the board. But basically, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board will hear recommendations and vote on whether they approve that recommendation. That recommendation is then sent to the commissioners for formal approval.
So I mean, I would think, just being in real estate and the housing market for 12 and a half years, that for some board like that, you would want somebody with real estate or housing experience and not somebody that can serve a soft serve ice cream as their resume and application. But being friends and donors of Boots, I guess that's where you get on that board at. So just curious as how people can get on these boards. It's always friends and donors of elected officials and not people that are blue collar people, working people that would help out.
Who's on the board?
It's Ken Huebner, Anne Marie DeCusky, Barry Bender, Ann Hoover Smith, Kay Williams, and Karen Kennedy.
Okay.
So that is something that I can take to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board.
It's not just that board, and I didn't know like how that operated, but it's a lot of the boards, and I brought this up several times, that it's just a lot of favoritism and boards being done that way. But I was just curious because if there's not applications or the background, it's not really going to help out anymore. But I appreciate your answers, Dick. The coroner's office, again, that debacle. The space is being increased by 4 times. The rates are 12 and a half times. I know they did a study in the rates and everything. There was supposed to be no backdating. I see it's now moved from November to January.
Yeah, I won't to next. We agreed to go from January because he does put submittals in every 3 months or 6 months is the way it's submitted.
So we are backdating this
So we're
one?
going to January 1st of 2025 forward for that because the space was being used, as far as I know, it was being used since January.
Since June.
Since
We
June.
moved in June.
Okay.
But-
It moved into June and the large space, but there was no increase.
But at what time was that ever brought to the commissioners? I never recall that being voted on. It was never addressed to the board here. I look back through minutes. It was never addressed to increase that size. The size was just increased and the rates were increased. It was never brought up at a meeting. It was never voted on. So, I mean, so that means anybody, the magistrates, anybody that has an office that rents or gets rent from the county can just go and say, we're using this extra space for the last year, so I want to increase the rates.
So from what I understand, the increases were done because of adding.
But it's what you're understanding. It was never presented to the board and it was never formally voted on. So they're dictating to you that they're going to increase the size and increase the money and the taxpayers are paying for this. We're in a $20 million deficit and they're just adding to it.
We're not a $20 million deficit.
It was
We're
originally.
not a $20 million deficit.
But it was last year.
It was, but it's not a $20 million deficit.
You know, Doc Moylan gets a salary.
Yes.
He gets the rent for the building. He gets rent for equipment. He does virtual autopsies that he charges for on every single person. If you read the one article, the state police don't even like the virtual autopsies. I talked to a couple of people since the recent article, state cops, retired state cops, local cops. They think it's a joke, the virtual autopsies, because they don't hold up in court. Okay? That office is just in shambles, and Mr. Barnes is back there. It has no couth. Okay? I was at a friend's house that had a child pass away. He shows up with the ambulance with the body in it, knocks on the door and says, yeah, I have her out there if you want to go take a look at her. How disrespectful. That's like going around selling meat out of a freezer of a truck and saying, yeah, come out and take a look. It's so disrespectful. I mean, the man's in court. I have one thing. You know, and the time in court, Al, how about when you were writing BB on the initials on the dead body, and when I went to court, they asked, who's BB? Because it's supposed to be AB. You're not Bud Barnes, okay? You're Al Barnes. So initial the bodies properly, because the office is in shambles. And you can't dictate to the county and the taxpayers what you're gonna do. It was never brought up and it was never voted on. It should not be backdated, and you said from day one you would not backdate anymore. They never.
Like, I didn't let it go back to 2024.
I understand that, but you're still backdating when you said you weren't.
And like I said, Jeff, if this doesn't work out with this new buyer, we are going to move the coroner's office to a permanent location into the thing.
It should be moved now. They're dictating everything now.
As of right now, we can't, but it is gonna be looked into in the future.
You can't get out of the contract, but they can dictate to you what they want to do. It's a shame. I mean, they have the upper hand, obviously.
Is there any other public comment? Tim, go ahead.
Hello, Tim Barr, Vision Government Solutions. The roller coaster has crested the hill, and we are now on the crazy train. The first 28,000 change of assessment notices were mailed a little over a week ago, and they hit the mail this week. We know that because the phones are ringing. They're ringing in my office, they're ringing in the assessment office, they're ringing in the commissioner's office, I'm sure. And the next 30,000 are being printed tomorrow to be mailed hopefully by Friday, so that next week the central part of the county will receive their notices. We have about 60 staff involved in various aspects of supporting the reassessment. I want to identify a couple of the compartmentalizations of this and clarify some things that we're finding even in the first few days of phone calls. The first thing is, an informal review is about the data. We had a person call, schedule an informal review, showed up this morning at 8:15 at the old former STS building for his appeal. He was ready to do an appeal before an appeal board. That's in July, August, that's later. We're just gonna, as far as I know, they did review the data with him, but he didn't understand. It says it on the notice, and we're gonna tell the phone people that make the appointments, remind everybody, every call, this is about the data. The stage that we're in is an informal data review, which can occur either in person at the STS building, you must have an appointment, or it can be done by phone. Now I have to admit, I'm showing my age, and I'm showing, I thought we would have more in-person reviews than phone, but with 2 days, so as of 9 o'clock last night, 38 people had scheduled informal reviews. 4-to-1 ratio, they want to do it over the phone. So most, now this will change, I'm sure. This is the first 2 days. But a lot of people are taking advantage of the phone one. One of the things that's also helpful with phone is we're doing evening phone calls and Saturday phone calls. So if you can't get off work and you want to do a phone review, there's not as many slots available for evenings and Saturdays. But we will call you at the designated, agreed upon time on evenings and Saturdays to make that available, because we just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to do this. The in-person stuff, of course, is over at the former STS building. We're all set up over there now with all the computers and the chairs, and everything's ready to go with that. As far as the actual values and some of the feedback that we're getting, obviously I've reviewed what was mailed. I sorted them from high to low and increase to decrease. You know, I looked up George's property to see what his looked like, just because I was curious to see, and was pleased to see that it's only about a $50 increase for you. But there's also a gentleman that was on the phone today that's getting a $700 increase. He's got about 20 acres of farmland, and he's not in clean and green. And his taxes were based on a $20,000 old value. And now it's worth $300,000. So he's getting, imagine if you got a notice that said 20,000 became 300. and that's all it did. But because the tax impact is there, it tells him $700 increase, which is still huge. So we encouraged him, as we are everyone with 10 acres or more of ground, if you're not in clean and green, please consider that. The deadline is extended to October 15th this year. We want you to sign up for clean and green this year because then it gets baked into the reassessment in November. It doesn't affect anybody's budgets. The county and the schools and municipalities don't have to find money. It just sorts it all out, and I've anticipated additional clean and green enrollment with the estimates that we put on the notices. So clean and green enrollment for those that may qualify, look into that. We already have the homestead enrollment for this year. The deadline was March 1st. Most of the properties that are eligible are probably already homesteads, but not all of them. The invitation cycle for that is usually a November, December, January thing. We may look at seeing if we can get special court permission to reopen that for county only. But that has to happen after the county confirms that they can offer a county homestead exclusion, and the solicitors are looking into that. What does the homestead exclusion mean? You frankly explained it very well. It is a reduction or an exclusion of the assessed value. So to use the commissioner's example, a $220,000 property with the county offering a $20,000 homestead exclusion will only pay taxes on $200,000 times the new millage rate, not the whole 220. Someone who lives in a $40,000 property would only pay half to the county what they would. Someone in a $20,000 property or less would pay nothing to the county under a $20,000 homestead exclusion. Someone in $1 million property, they're going to get the same dollars off on their bill that the person that lives in the $40,000 property did. So it's not a money discount, it's an assessment discount, but it pretty much converts into a couple of $100 off on the county bill. So if you're faced with a $50 or $100 increase, and the county can do this, then you may end up actually paying less. I don't know if we may be able to, if we figure out what's going to be possible, the estimates that go out, or the final values that go out in July, might be able to include that in a revised impact statement for those that are already signed up. So check out Homestead. Of course, it also applies for school purposes, and those are already enrolled. Follow the main point I want the folks at home to know is just go through the process. If you have a question about your data, you can go on the website. Not everybody's comfortable with that, but if you go to vgsi.com/Schuylkill, property info takes you straight. You can look up your property and look at your physical description that way. If you want to talk and sit with somebody, and the gentleman that we were talking to earlier today, he's not computer savvy, other people aren't. I said, then you need to sit with somebody. Make an appointment and sit with someone, and they will go through the screens with you to verify the data. They will not debate the value. That comes later. I want to keep reiterating that point because we're not at that stage yet. This is still only about the data. We have told property owners what their value is. Another call that we had earlier in the week, property owner, their value is going up to a little over $500,000. But it's worth that. And they acknowledge that it's worth that. So they still might verify their data. I would encourage anybody to go through that if they want. But if it's not worth $500,000, then I would expect that person to file an appeal in July with, when they get their final notice of value. They can file an appeal and appear before a 3-panel appeal board. So,
and one of the things we're going to try, I've asked them to try to do is when the final notices go out, that you get a total of this week the taxes were school district, municipality, county in 2025. This is your total in 2026. Remember we talked about that total tax impact.
Yeah, it wasn't possible to do it would still be an estimate.
It'd be an estimate, but it's more of a...
After the informals, we may be able to do an estimate that gives you the big picture. Yes.
Because there are some school districts, you know, the school districts have different break evens than the counties.
Every taxing body will have its own break even. The county, we're assuming the break even is right around 5. To anybody that does math, the county Old Mills is 19.23, I believe it is. You divide that by 5. That's the number that I used for the impact. It's not hard for anybody to figure that out. The school districts will be maybe a little above 5, a little below 5. The municipalities might be a little above 5, a little below 5. We don't know until we get through all these informal reviews. And the truth is, the final break even isn't set until November, when all of the formal appeals are also done. But the point is, we want to help people go through this process. We want to encourage them to go through the process. Don't call the assessment office, please. Don't call the assessment office unless your deeded acreage is wrong, or the ownership is wrong, or there's a problem with clean and green or homestead. Those 4 things are the only reasons you should be coming to or calling the assessment office. They cannot help you with reassessment stuff. My staff has to do that. But when you call that toll-free number, 800-525-9876, they don't have your property data. They're just scheduling. That's all they do, is they schedule. And when you get to that face-to-face or phone-to-phone informal review, they aren't allowed to debate value under state law. So I'm trying to manage expectations here a little bit. Assessment is for things that relate to the tax roll and the old values. The call center is related to scheduling people, which, by the way, you can also schedule yourself, vgsi.com/schedule. Book your own appointment. You don't have to talk to somebody. And then, of course, when you actually have your informal review, we're going to go through the data with you. And that might result in a value change. You will get whatever the result is when the county sends the official values on or before July 1st.
And this first batch that went out, there is actually people calling me like, it says my taxes went down $500, is this right? And I'm like, if that's the estimate on there,
Keep your mouth shut.
yeah, keep your mouth shut, that's basically, no, but there is things where people were over-assessed. I know we have an example up in Union Township where a house, you know, if we would've, did it like, what is it, Lackawanna County, where they just sent the values out,
It is that,
you know, they just sent the values out that,
you got a page and it was, here's your new value.
here's your value and that's it.
The problem is, they go back, the last reassessment was 1967,
So they have
So the value
67 values.
about 10 times.
So we had one in Union where it went from like about 140, assessed value of 72,000, so 140,000 value. The house is valued at over 500 some thousand. Now his taxes went up a little bit, but it went up $700. Like, me thinking that, I was like, if in some counties it'd be like, oh my God, if I would see that, you think your tax would be going up $5,000. You know, so it's all the numbers, how they accordingly.
Well, and even someone who gets a $700 increase, it's not retroactive. You know, it's a day forward thing. And if the property is worth $500,000, then it needs to go up. That's the point. You can't lower the taxes on the person who's been paying $700 too much every year without raising it on someone else who's been underpaying. The whole point of the reassessment is to bring uniformity to this so that people in the same block have equivalent values and equivalent taxes. Similar houses are supposed to be assessed the same and taxed the same. And that's what the reassessment is changing. We've just got a lot of interaction and work to do. There'll be lots of anecdotal stories and ones on different extremes, and there will be errors that we'll find. We had a typo, you know, that actually called this particular person because it was so egregious. And I shouldn't admit this, but it happens. It's a data entry. We had him in as having a 120,000 square foot poultry barn, not a 12,000 square foot poultry barn. Okay? His value was like $1 million higher than it was supposed to be. So we called the family member and said, please let them know that we've already corrected that and you'll get your official notice in July. There will be real corrections at these informal reviews. That's the point. That's why we want people to check this. These parcels haven't been looked at like this in 30 years. You had a building permit, your property got looked at. If nothing's ever happened to the property, nobody's been there, looked at it, checked the measurements, keyed anything. This is all fresh, and it will only get better through the next couple of months.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Let's move on with the meeting. Can I approve the commissioners' meeting minutes of April 9th?
So moved.
Second?
On the question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve the work session meeting minutes of April 16th?
So moved. Second?
On the question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve what was presented at our work session by Children and Youth?
So moved.
Second?
On the question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve what was presented on behalf of Colin during the work session?
So moved.
Second?
On the question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve what was presented by the Adult Probation Office at our commissioners meeting, work session meeting?
So moved.
Second?
On the question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve what was presented in our work session for 911 communications?
So moved.
Second?
Any question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
And Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve what was presented by the coroner's office at our work session?
So moved.
Second?
Any question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve what was presented by drug and alcohol at our work session?
So moved.
Second?
On the question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess? Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve what was presented by the Office of Senior Services at our work session?
So moved.
Second?
On the question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve what was presented by the grant writers at our work session?
So moved.
Second?
On the question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
A motion to approve what was presented by the county administration at our work session.
So moved.
Second?
On the question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month of March 25th.
Motion to approve based on last week's work session, presentation. Thank you.
Second?
The question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
And Commissioner Hess? Pardon?
Human resources.
Good morning, Commissioners. In Planning and Zoning, we have the appointment of 4 interns. They all have the same rate, $15 an hour, all the same effective date, 5/21/24, 25. Their names are Drew Buck, Tyler Shirer, Lauren Knoll, and Aiden Valentine. In the prison, we have the appointment of Lisa Kenderdine as correction officer part-time. The rate is 23.0730, effective 4/28/25. That's per the contract. And then, all the appointments are pending drug test and physical where appropriate, and all actions involving salary or positions being created are pending salary board approval. We also have one informational item in the clerk of courts, the appointment of Stephanie Kinley, effective 5/5/25, that's per the contract. That's all.
Can I have a motion for the 4 planning and zoning appointments in the prison?
So moved.
Second?
On the question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
And Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Dave, I jumped over your presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name's Dave Young. I'm the CEO at Schuylkill Community Action. Always grateful for the opportunity to present here at the Board of Commissioners. I want to present on the annual report for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. First, I want to recognize the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board. They volunteer their time. They show up for 3 meetings per year. They make informed decisions to promote affordable housing. I'd like to recognize Ken Hubner, chairperson, Anne Marie Dukusky, vice chair, Gary Bender, Ann Hoover Smith, Kay Williams, and Karen Kenderdine. I'm going to do a little historical overview of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund program. Established in 1996, the Schuylkill County Affordable Housing Trust Fund has generated over $6.7 million through the Recorder of Deeds to support housing initiatives. Since 2000, 161 grants have been awarded, over $5.5 million in Act 137 funds distributed, $37.8 million in leverage support, and more than 7,400 individuals and families directly assisted. Administered by Schuylkill Community Action, the trust fund supports projects that expand access to safe, stable, and affordable housing for low and moderate income residents. Recent impact, the past 3 years, which really is the crux of the report, from 2022 through 2024, $574,760 in grants were awarded. $2.96 million in additional leverage funding went to these projects. Through the program to date, 348 actual units have been served. Some of the contracts are still open with those programs, so that number will go up. The funding supported $392,703 in housing rehabilitation, $139,360 in transitional housing, $42,697 in homeless prevention and diversion, and the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board sets aside $10,000 for emergency projects reserves. That's been a practice they've had since probably the beginning, and that's been utilized in the past if an emergent housing need comes up. Numbers are one thing, but they only tell a part of the story. One of the things we have done with new contracts starting in 2024 was providing us success stories. For our 2023 grantees, we asked them optionally to provide some success stories. I'd just like to read a couple of those if that's okay. First, I'd like to go through the Schuylkill Hope Center. To protect the safety and confidentiality of survivors we serve, this story is intentionally general and broad. During fiscal year 23-24, Hope Center's project-based voucher housing residents gained access to a wide range of support services. Some were connected to job training programs and worked to improve their resume and job search skills. Some were able to secure affordable childcare, allowing them to pursue work and education opportunities. A few residents who had procured work in previous years were promoted in their careers. The children residing in the units continued to attend school, their academics uninterrupted by the violence in their lives. Because of the new stable environment, they excelled in school and showed signs of emotional recovery from the trauma they had endured. One child graduated from high school, enrolled in a local college, and began studying to pursue a professional degree. Several residents worked to procure or maintain vehicles, ensuring transportation for their families, which is essential in rural communities such as ours. Not only are these families surviving, they are thriving. Another success story came from Schuylkill Community Action's Bridge House program. A woman came to Bridge House after a period of incarceration for drug use distribution. Prior to her incarceration, she did not work and received SSI. While at Bridge House, she became employed and decided she no longer needed to rely on SSI for income. Additionally, she was reunified with her teenage daughter, who had been living with relatives while the client was incarcerated. While at the child attended high school, and she also began working part-time. While at Bridge House, the client was a resident in charge, meaning that she was trusted to assist staff and other clients as well. The client has maintained her sobriety and graduated from Bridge House. She and her daughter moved into permanent housing solutions with the Pottsville Housing Authority. The client credits the Bridge House program for supporting her and helping to improve her quality of life. Just two more quick stories. A man released from, this is from Servants to All. A man released from a multi-year prison sentence, overcame addiction, secured full-time union employment, reunited with his children, and moved into his own apartment, all within 6 weeks of entering the program. It goes to show that with determination and a little guidance, clients are able to reestablish themselves and be productive members of the community, regardless of their backgrounds. And one more from the Schuylkill County Housing Authority. Act 137 funds help modernize the Schuylkill Haven high-rise, enhancing the safety and quality of life for 110 low-income senior and disabled residents. Some of the work completed was replacement of all water lines, waste lines, vents, drains, fixtures, bathroom sinks, vanities, toilets, valves, and piping, main water line, pressure release valves, and asbestos abatement. These 110 residents now have more safe, more modern home to reside in. Looking ahead, the 2025 grant application cycle is now open. with applications due by May 2nd, 2025. Applicants will present their proposals for consideration at the June meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board. As the end of 2024, the fund has $317,033 available for new awards in 2025. With continued collaboration between the Board of Commissioners, the Trust Fund Board, and community partners, Schuylkill County remains committed to expanding housing opportunities and promoting self-sufficiency for all residents. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to hear the success stories
Yes.
of those people.
I'd add one comment to that, David. You already noticed that when the project Schuylkill Haven came up, the water system was pretty well shot. And you can't just do part, you have to do all of it. And they were about $400,000 short to get that done. The commissioners kicked in $400,000 ARPA money to make that happen. So not trying to get a pat in the back, but this is how we can help to make that work. So
It takes a village, it really does. It takes all sorts of partnerships to make progress in a community. So thank you for that.
Just fixing part of the building wasn't acceptable.
No, it had to be the whole building.
And they came to us and said, well, we have this money here, but then what better place to put it? You know? So,
Thank you.
Gary?
No, I can't say more enough for community action on what they do. If anyone that gets an opportunity to sit in on one of their meetings and all the list of things that they do throughout this county is amazing. It definitely to help, what they've talked about, the homeless and people with low incomes and so forth. They increase the quality of life tenfold from a lot of people, getting them from one level to another to be self-sufficient and be very productive. And it helps a lot of people. I've seen it over the years of many people that your organization has touched. So you and your board and your staff, you ought to be commended on the job you do, and even do the ARP, the housing rehab program that we asked you to undertake, which you did an excellent job, and then that was in it, what ended up almost a 2-year program close to it, I guess, right? So, but you did an excellent job there too. So.
Well, on top of the emergency rental assistance program, some counties didn't spend the money and sent it back. You guys got it all delivered, so.
It's great to hear. It's great to hear the success stories of people turning their lives around and giving that second opportunity in life.
Absolutely.
And reunite with their families and, become self-sufficient and, they're the great things that I love about this. So just thank you to your entire staff and your board, everybody.
Thank you.
The finance office.
Excuse me, do you want to vote on accepting that annual report?
We kind of did.
Oh.
Can we have a motion to accept his annual report?
I'll make that motion.
Second,
A question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
And Commissioner Hess?
yes.
And the board members as well? Are we accepting those reappointments?
Yes, we already voted on it. Yeah, we did all
Oh,
Yeah, under
the,
that. Yeah, under the county administrator.
excuse me.
Finance office?
We do have one budget adjustment prior year that's put on the door. Also, we're seeking approval of a supplemental budget appropriation resolution for the current year in the amount of $6,400.
Can I have a
I'll
motion?
make the motion that we do the supplemental budget appropriation resolution number 2025-04.
Second,
Any question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
yes.
New business county administrator?
Anyone from the courts here?
CJ was here, but he went.
If not, I can do that one.
Is somebody from the courts or? No, CJ left. Go ahead.
Okay, approval is requested by President Judge Russell to implement a participant fee for the wellness court, which was established to assist veterans and other eligible participants to satisfy the program criteria. And in addition, that approval is requested to establish that fee at $5 per participant per week in order to fund the wellness court program.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second,
Any question?
Commissioner Fedora?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
yes.
There's no meeting next week because the 5th week of the month. Our next meeting will be May 7th here.
Commissioner, if I might, just this morning at 9 a.m. there was bid openings for the Shenandoah demolition project as well as some CDBG ADA projects.
Okay.
And they'll be awarded at a later date.
Okay, thank you.
No motion to adjourn, okay.
Salary board, report of any executive session.
There were none held.
Public comment for salary board? looking at you, Jeff, right? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from our salary board meeting of April sixth?
Yes, sir, so moved.
Second?
On the question?
Commissioner Fedora,
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington,
Yes.
Commissioner Hess,
Yes?
and Controller Yekenship. Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve the salary board work session of April 16th?
So moved.
Second?
On the question?
Commissioner Fedora,
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington,
Yes.
Commissioner Hess,
Yes.
Controller Yekenship. Yes.
Human resources.
Yes, Commissioners, in planning and zoning, we are setting the salary for Drew Buck, Tyler Shirer, Lauren Noel, Aiden Valentine, all as interns at the rate of $15 per hour, all effective 5/21/25. In MHDS, we have an on-call stipend for caseworkers. It's $75 per day for after-hours delegate work. That's effective 5/5/25. And in drug and alcohol, a wage increase for Amy Schlegel, case management specialist. That is 24.5226, effective 4/28/25.
Can I have a motion to approve these salary board?
Yes, sir. Motion, so moved.
Second?
On the question?
Commissioner Fedora,
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington,
Yes.
Commissioner Hess,
Yes?
Controller Yekenship. Yes.
Any new business for salary board?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
No, it's okay. Well, it's, you know, that's something I can.
I did send statements to the rest that I did.